Sunday's game between the Chicago Bears and the 49ers is perhaps the biggest game of the NFL season, most exciting game, I should say, where the San Francisco 49ers won 42 to 38 over the Bears. Obviously, there was that big Thursday night game between Seattle and Los Angeles. There was that awesome Bills Ravens game, but this game felt like there was a little bit more to it. Two quarterbacks that were questioned, right? Is Caleb Williams, has he arrived yet? Is Brock Purdy, was he worth the contract just coming off a great performance against the Indianapolis Colts and both teams vying for the number one seed in the NFC? Ultimately, it was a beautiful game between both players, both quarterbacks, I should say, both offenses, both coaches. And when I was looking at this game, trying to come up with a way to talk about it, it was, you know, how do I talk about who won this game? Was it the defense step up for San Francisco? Was it the Chicago Bears maybe stumbling, having to settle for that field goal? Was it Brock Purdy being a great quarterback? Was it Ben Johnson scheming the Bears into a possible win? And ultimately, I think it was just a great performance from everyone involved. And I don't think there was one thing to point out. The one thing you could potentially mention as who lost the game or where it was won was the Bears having to settle for the field goal to go up 38 to 35, ultimately giving the 49ers the ball back where they wanted to score a touchdown. The Bears got the ball back with about 2.5 minutes left to go, and they just ran out of time, right? They had a couple plays left, but they could only make that final pass where they didn't get the play call in correct and right, and then Caleb Williams darted the ball to Jade Walker, so it was obviously an incompletion, and the 49ers went on to win. So that was probably the defining drive, defining play was the 49ers making the Bears settle for the field goal, because if you take away that final drive of the game, the Bears were 1 for 2 when they got to the red zone. Obviously, every other touchdown was this huge, like 30-yard passing touchdown from Caleb Williams. And that was the only time where a team settled for a field goal. The 49ers were 5 for 5 in the red zone. So obviously we can point out the defense and say the defense has struggled. But ultimately, that was probably the defining play. But what we saw in this game was two great teams, two fun teams going at it, putting up great offensive performances. So when looking at this game, Brock Purdy was exceptional. He was coming off the best game of his NFL career against the Indianapolis Colts last week, where he had 5 passing touchdowns. And he followed up with an even better performance this week. He went obviously 24 for 33, 303 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns, that pick six to begin the game, and 2 rushing touchdowns. And the really, I guess, the more impressive thing that I saw from Brock Purdy this game was how he came out after that pick six. There's often times last season where, and even the year before that, the past couple of years for Purdy, where he makes a mistake. He has a bad interception, or they don't get a good drive going, and it compounds. It goes from one interception to two or three. I remember a couple of years ago when they played the Cleveland Browns, and he had that 3 interception performance, and or that was the Chiefs. He had 3 interceptions against the Chiefs, or against the Bears, or not the Bears, the Browns, where he went 12 for 27 and had 125 yards passing. And it's like it always seemed like when a mistake was made with Purdy, it compounded. But maybe this was a breaking point for Brock Purdy, where he had that pick six. He didn't talk to Kyle Shanahan on the sideline. Shanahan just said in the radio, like, hey, you made the right read. They made a better play. And Purdy went on to have an exceptional performance. His completion percentage over expected was plus 3.6, which is incredible because he was making a lot of, it was just indication of just the reads he was making. And it was incredible because his completion percentage was at like 70%, 65%. So to have it that much higher, plus 3.6, shows how accurate he was with the football. And he was making the right reads, making a lot of good decisions, making a lot of tough throws inside the numbers. Yes, the Bears were playing a zone. And yes, Ricky Pearsall and Jake Tonjes were finding openings. And yes, there was Christian McCaffrey in the flat or it's check down. But making throws between the numbers, especially on those intermediate routes, those are difficult passes to make because you have to get past a certain number of levels of the defense. And there was those multiple times where Booker, number 94 on the Chicago Bears, had a couple passes knocked down, and Purdy just kept going with it. He was good. He was playing really really good football. Best game of his NFL career happened last night against the Chicago Bears. And Ricky Pearsall also emerged as that potential wide receiver threat that the 49ers have been looking for all season long. He's been out with a lot of injuries throughout this year, and then when he came back from injury, he was non-existent, got hurt again, came back, played this game against the Chicago Bears, last minute decision, and he had 90 receiving yards. Every single catch except for one was for double digit uh, yards. He had a 30-yard reception and a 20-yard reception as well. And I liked how Ricky he came back. Brock Purdy, there was a miscommunication on a pass to Purcell, and in the very next play, he found Ricky down the sideline for like that 30-yard gain on the left side of the field, and the 49ers went on to score a touchdown off of that possession. But Purdy was playing good ball. He was having fun out there. He was very poised. He looked like Derrick Rose on that touchdown pass to Kyle Juszczyk, where he basically crossed over two defenders, stepped up. He had the ball for like 8 seconds and had that nice open touchdown to Kyle Juszczyk. Jake Tonges also had that coverage breakdown for the back of the end zone touchdown where Edmonds didn't run with him. And so what I saw was Purdy playing good football and not panicking. He wasn't forced into situations. Trent Williams goes down with an injury after the first drive, so he didn't play essentially because it was a pick six on the first play of the game. And what you saw was Purdy just play with poise, play with confidence, and let the game come to him. Credit to Kyle Shanahan as well with his play calling. He helped establish the run, saying, when we get the run going, that's when our offense can really start clicking. And Christian McCaffrey had over 200 yards of all-purpose yards. The San Francisco 49ers are averaging 5.9 yards per rush. Brian Robinson is the perfect complement to Brock Purdy as well, absolutely running over defenders when he caught the ball. So it was all in all a complete performance from this 49ers offense, and they looked spectacular to say the least. And then on the flip side with the Chicago Bears, I would say Caleb Williams, he's coming out, right? He's playing better football each and every week, only his second year, similar to the Trevor Lawrence rookie season with Urban Meyer. Obviously, that was a lot worse. Urban Meyer and the Jags, that was just a terrible mix. But the idea was he was paired with a bad coach for his development. Matt Eberflus was not the right coach to help develop Caleb Williams during his first year as a rookie. So just like Trevor Lawrence had his rookie year as his second season, I'm seeing that with Caleb Williams right now. And he made those wild throws against San Francisco 49ers. He was 5 for 5 on completions of 20 air yards or more. And two of them were 35-yard touchdown passes. I think the Loveland one was 36 yards, but he was letting it rip. And the best thing about Caleb Williams is his arm strength, his ability to make plays on the fly and attack deep downfield. And it was showing big time against the San Francisco 49ers on those deep ball touchdown passes to Burden and to Loveland. The problem with Caleb Williams, something that was mentioned on the broadcast a few times, but you can obviously tell when you see the passing chart, is those layup throws or just taking the small passes, the short to intermediate routes, and not always looking for the home run threat every single play. It was apparent, right? In the game, he was 25 for 42 for 329 yards passing and two passing touchdowns. But 10 of those incompletions were passes of 10 yards or less. 10 of those incompletions were, some of them were dump downs, some of them were at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, a few of them were dirts, right? He had to throw it because he felt some pressure. There was nothing there. He threw it away. I get it. I get it. It happens. But he needs to be a little bit better at that, which comes with time and is not something that should worry any Chicago Bears fan or anyone out there. And Ben Johnson deserves a lot of credit for the game plan he had heading into San Francisco playing the 49ers. He mentioned how that play, that offsides call that led to the touchdown pass to Loveland, was practiced multiple times throughout the week. He wanted that to happen, and what ended up happening, it worked. Loveland was wide open. The receivers did a good job decoying and allowing for Loveland to get downfield to complete that touchdown pass, that absolute missile, as Chris Collinsworth was referring to as on that pass. It was a beautiful ball from Caleb Williams. And yes, Williams, you could argue, had the best performance of his NFL career, going band for band, touchdown for touchdown with Brock Purdy. Again, settling for that field goal might have been the play of the game that really switched things up in terms of who was going to win. But at the end of the day, ultimately, this was a beautiful performance by Caleb Williams in the Chicago Bears offense. And Williams, he looked poised. He sounded even better after the game, post game. He sounded mature. He took ownership for that final play of the game. Ben Johnson did too. And what we're seeing between this coach and this quarterback and this entire team is accountability is being taken and that there's a good chemistry and a lot of growth happening within this team. Ben Johnson said, well, I got the play call in late. That's why there was some confusion on the motions. And then Caleb Williams said, well, I dirted the ball. So I should have given someone a chance to come down with it. He owned up to it. Johnson owned up to it. And you're just seeing this team. We already knew it because they have 11 wins or 11 and 5. They won the NFC North for the first time in a long time. But you're hearing it too. And it's just an indication of what's happening with this football team and the growth that they're having. Luther Burden also looked like a amazing wide receiver who has a lot of growth and a lot of potential ahead of him. And you kept hearing the broadcast mention this one number Collinsworth said. It was yards per route ran and how it was top three only behind Jackson Smith and Jigba and Puka Nacua. And Luther Burden's right at the top list at number three with 2.8 yards per route ran. And so I was like, okay, that's a good number. Let me dive deeper into that. What is Burden doing well? Where does his numbers rank compared to the rest of the league? And let's just say he's right up there. He is top class, and if the numbers are any indication of the future, Burden has a chance to be one of the really good wide receivers in the National Football League. And so when looking at his season thus far, he has 617 receiving yards on 44 receptions with two touchdowns. He's averaging 14 yards per reception, which is top 30 in the NFL at number 26. So that's a good number right there. In the game, he looked phenomenal. But before we get into the game numbers, let's look at his, again, season-wide numbers, advanced metrics. So as I said, his yards per route ran was third in the NFL at 2.8. Another important number is catch percentage. His catch percentage is top 10 in the NFL at seventh in the league, 78.57% among wide receivers. Again, that is right there with Puka Nacua and other top wide receivers in the National Football League, showing that when the ball is thrown his way, he makes stuff happen. And when he's out in the field running routes, it's always impactful, right? So if his first route doesn't, result in a pass to him, that second route, he's going to make it work again. He's just going to have every reception he makes is going to be that impactful. And every time he's on the field, he has a good impact. And the other number that I thought was really interesting, that was really impactful, was targets on route ran at 25%. That's 14th. So a quarter of the time, every four times he runs a route, the ball is coming his way, showing that he's getting open and he, again, making plays. And we saw that in the game against the San Francisco 49ers, where he had 138 receiving yards on 8 catches and a touchdown. Obviously, that beautiful deep ball to help step up the scoring for that first offensive touchdown of the game for the Chicago Bears, where he beat the safety and had that beautiful touchdown reception. And during the game, here's some more numbers for you guys about how impactful he is. On 6 of his 8 receptions, they were for double-digit receiving yards or more. He had a 10-yard completion, or reception, I should say, that 35-yard touchdown reception. He caught another ball for -2 yards, right? It was a dump down. Stuff happens, got blown up. He had a 24-yard reception. He had a 27-yard reception. That was where Bryce Huff was coming off sides. He went down the left side of the field and had that beautiful completion. And that was also where Upton Stout unfortunately suffered that concussion. He had a 25-yard reception. That was when the Bears were in their back of their end zone, I think at the 11-yard line, and the slot corner was coming in for a blitz, and Caleb Williams identified it, dumped it down to Burden, and Burden just made stuff happen. He caught it, I think, 3 yards away from the line of scrimmage and turned it into a 25-yard catch. He then had that huge, crucial third down completion on the final drive of the game when the Bears were like 3rd and 10, maybe it was 3rd and 14. And Luther Burden caught the ball, went on to get that first down to keep the drive going and keep them out of a 4th down situation. And then he also had a 5-yard reception later on in that drive. So all in all, phenomenal performance by Luther Burden in showing of what's to come with him and how he's only a rookie and how much potential he has to maybe replaces DJ Moore and can take over that position. Or he can just be a great outside wide receiver when Rome Odunze comes back. Who knows what this team's going to look like. Colston Loveland looked phenomenal as well. Had that nice, again, touchdown off of that offsides call where he went down there, got wide open, beat the corner, beat the safety. He's tied in, he's running amongst the best like a wide receiver. And then one other thing I want to mention is, the game planning that Kyle Shanahan had on the offensive side of the ball was amazing. The motions were spectacular. And every single time I felt like there was a certain set that was ran that the 49ers had 3 or 4 different ways of attacking it. They ran a lot of jumbo sets, a lot of 2 tight end personnel. Juszczyk was out there. We'll qualify him as tight end in some scenarios as well. And the 49ers, they just had a game plan of how to attack this Bears team, and they really did less with more. That was another big takeaway. Is like, we know Ayuk's out. Jawan Jennings is good. Demarcus Robinson is good, but they're not special. Ricky Pearsall had moments. He had 90 receiving yards, but that's not a wide receiver one that stacks up with the likes of Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And he was able to find a way to scheme him open, to get Jake Tonjes open. The dude had 8 receptions this game after having like literally nothing when George Kittle was out when George Kittle was in when he was back and healthy, I should mention. So just the the play designs and the schemes that Shanahan had was another reminder that Shanahan, we talk about Sean McVay all the time and Andy Reid all the time, but Shanahan's right up there, if not above him, when it comes to being an offensive minded head coach. He just does it a little bit differently because he likes to run the ball more than they do. So, another great performance by the San Francisco 49ers, a good performance by the Chicago Bears. Got to give a huge shout out to Sam Okuwanu, the D end, number 91 on the 49ers. The 49ers weren't getting a lot of pressure going. Bryce Huff, he wasn't really utilized. He wasn't getting a lot of pressure. Darnell Wright did a great job protecting him and blocking him, protecting um, Caleb Williams. It also doesn't help that Williams, he runs boots left, right, everywhere, every single time. So it's hard to get pressure if you're Bryce Huff. But the thing that I was impressed by Sam Okuwanu by was the Bears had this way of setting up their tight ends about 3 or 4 yards to the left or to the right of each tackle. So um, Okuwanu is a guy who comes off the left side. He rushes off the left tackle essentially, and the Bears would have Loveland or Komet line about 3 or 4 yards off to the left, forcing Okuwanu to have to start his pass rush a little bit further, taking him longer to get there. And he got chipped multiple times by the Titans, and he was relentless every single time. He was always impactful every single time. Yes, he didn't have a sack. Yes, I don't know what his pressure numbers were, but I can't imagine they were anything special. But it felt like he was always there, causing an issue, forcing Caleb Williams to have to redirect. He may not have sacked Caleb Williams, but if Williams was running a boot to the left and Okuwanu was coming down, Williams would then run to the right. And it felt like he was always making Williams work. He was impactful in the run defense, and he was having a good performance. So Okuwanu, really talented D end. Depending on who they play, could be an impactful player, somebody to keep an eye on in the future. But all in all, amazing game top to bottom. The game was definitely defined by that field goal and how the Bears had to settle for it. And that was the one time either team had to settle for a field goal within the red zone. And that kind of swung the pendulum back in favor of the 49ers. And it was here's the ball left. You're down four now, Chicago. Only a couple minutes left. Good luck trying to score. Great tackle by Lenore on the DeAndre Swift hook and ladder play. And because I thought that was going to be a touchdown. I think the Bears did too. They thought the corner, Lenore, was going to run with the receiver, but he made the instinctive decision to come down and make the play. Brilliant decision by him. But ultimately, phenomenal performance top to bottom. By far one of the best quarterback tools we've seen all season long. Brock Purdy looked legit. Caleb Williams looked legit, and a really exciting game. Let me know what you guys think. Was there a key moment in that game that you thought defined how the game went? Was there a certain play that really impressed you? Can either team get to the Super Bowl? Will they play each other again in the playoffs? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to hear. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.